Yo, what's up? Today I'm just going to be going over my end of the season predictions. Starting off with the MVP, I'm going to go with Nikola Jokic. This is mostly because it was either between him or Luka. I think Luka is going to average more points and more assists. Jokic will average more rebounds, but Jokic will be shooting way more effective than Luka from almost everything. Maybe not through at the end of the year, but I think he still will be. And I also think Jokic's team is going to be a lot better as well. Now on to our DPOY. This is kind of a gamble, but he's definitely playing like the best defensive player right now. I'm going to go with Miles Turner. Right now he's averaging almost 4 blocks and 1.2 steals, which is just absolutely crazy. And I could definitely see him keeping it up, so I think he's going to win the DPOY. Now on to our most improved player. I'm going to go with Jeremy Grant. It was either him or Christian Wood, I feel like. And you can really just see in this season how much better he's playing. And I pretty much predicted this. I kind of expected this to happen because he always had like an okay role on his other teams, like the Nuggets, and he was always good, but he never really got the playing time that he is now on the Pistons. So I think without a doubt he's going to win most improved player. Now on to our Rookie of the Year. I believe this is going to be LaMelo Ball. This is because most of the other rookies just aren't playing very well. I think in second place would definitely be Tyrese Halliburton right now. James Wiseman's kind of underperforming. Same thing with Anthony Edwards. He's doing all right, but he's kind of underperforming for the first pick. So I think it's most likely going to be LaMelo Ball. Now on to our Sixth Man of the Year. This is probably who's in first right now, I would say. The Sixth Man of the Year is kind of hard to guess in the beginning of the season, but I'm going to guess Jordan Clarkson because the Jazz are doing very well, and he is their sixth man, and he's also playing really well. He's improved a little bit this season, and I just think he's a really good sixth man to have. So now on to our Coach of the Year. I'm going to have to go with Quinn Snyder. He's the coach of the Utah Jazz, and I am going to go with this because the Jazz are doing very well this season, and I expect them to keep it up and definitely get within that top 3 or 4 seed. So now I'm going to be ranking the teams based on what seed I think they're going to finish with. I'm not going to go too much into depth with that because I have that in some of my other videos, so I'm just going to kind of count it down. With the 15th spot, I'm going to have the Pistons. They're just overall bad. 14th, I think it's going to be the Magic because they have so many injured players. I feel like if they didn't have as many injured players, they'd definitely be a playoff team. 13th, I'm going to go with the Wizards. I do think Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook will pick it up, but I still do not think they're a great team, and they'll fall in that 13th spot. 12th, I'm going to go with the Bulls. They're just not a very good team. That's pretty much all I have. 11th, I think the Cavs are just going to fall out of that play-in spot. I think they could definitely make it, but my prediction is that they're going to fall out and drop to 11th. For 10th, the first play-in spot, I'm going to pick the Hornets. I think they're going to sneak in. For 9th, I'm going to select the Knicks. I think they can make that play-in as well. For the 8th, another team that will actually be playing in the play-in, I'm going to pick the Heat. They started very slow, but I think they're going to pick it up and make it to that 8th seed. 7th seed, I'm going to have the Hawks. They've started pretty alright, and I think they're going to fall to that 7 spot. So now the teams that are actually going to make the playoffs, the 6th seed, I'm going to have the Toronto Raptors. They started really bad, but they're picking it up, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs in that 6th spot. The 5 spot, I'm going to have the Pacers, right where they are now. I think losing Dpoi wasn't bad because they got Karis LeVert, but now that he's out and injured, they're going to stay at the 5 spot. For the 4th spot, I'm going to have the Celtics. I don't really think I need to say that much for that. The 3rd spot, I'm going to have the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're going to go up, and they're going to build some chemistry and be a pretty good team, fall in that 3 spot. The 2nd seed, I think it's going to be the Bucks, which leaves the 76ers as the 1 seed. This is because I just feel like the 76ers are a better team overall, at least in the regular season. So now I'll do our 15 Western Conference teams, and then I'll do my playoff predictions. Falling 15th, I think it's going to be the Timberwolves. They're probably the worst team in the NBA right now. Record-wise, it's the Pistons, but the Timberwolves have just been playing awfully, and I can't see them even moving up at all, to be honest, at this point. 14th is the Thunder. I think they played very well in the beginning of the season for what was expected, but I think they're still going to fall down to the 14th spot. For the 13th, I think it's just going to be the Kings, where they usually are around that spot, and I don't think they're very good, so I think they're going to fall down there. 12th spot, this one was kind of close. I decided to pick the Pelicans because they've had a pretty rough start, so I'm just going to go based off that. The 11th spot, I'm going to go off the Grizzlies. They haven't played a ton of games yet this season, but I don't think they're good enough to sneak into that play-in tournament, unfortunately. The 10th team, so the first team in the play-in, I'm going to go with the Rockets. I think they have a pretty decent amount of talent and will sneak in. For the 9th spot, I'm going to go with the Spurs. I know they're in 5th right now, but I think they will fall down to the 9th spot, but they still will be in the play-in tournament. I think they just had a really lucky start, or maybe just a really good start. Who knows? We'll see. For that 8th spot, also in the play-in, I'm going to have the Dallas Mavericks. I think they've had a really bad start, but I still think they're going to be in the top 8. My 7th spot, I'm going to have the Portland Trailblazers, which is where they are right now. They're going to have Nurkic out for a while, and I'm not sure how long CJ McCollum is out, but I think they're going to stay around that 7th spot. The 6th seed, I'm going to place the Warriors here. They started off kind of slow, but they've picked it up a little bit, and they're playing pretty well. 5th seed, which is honestly a little surprising, I'm going to have the Suns. They've started very solid, and I think they're a very solid team. For that 4th seed, I'm going to have the Nuggets. They're going to have the MVP, and I can just see them making the 4 seed. In that 3 seed, I'm going to have the Jazz. I know they've had a really good start, and they're probably the best team in the NBA currently, but I think they just had a really good start, and I could see them falling down to the 3 seed, which isn't bad. I just think that they're not better than the Lakers or the Clippers. 2 seed, the Clippers, they were the 2 seed last season, and I think they're going to go there again. 1 seed, the Lakers. This should kind of make sense because they're obviously the best team in the NBA. So now with these predictions, we're going to go to the playoffs, but first we have to do the play-in tournament. So the first game, I'm going to have the 7-seeded Hawks versus the 8-seeded Heat, and I'm going to say the Heat are going to take that game. And then the 9-seeded Knicks versus the 10-seeded Hornets, I'm going to say the Hornets are going to take that game. So that leaves the Hornets versus the Hawks, and I actually think the Hornets are going to beat the Hawks. I'm just going to take a guess here, and I think the Hornets are going to sneak into the 8th seed, which would make the Heat the 7th seed. So now I'm going to do the play-in for the Western Conference. I'm going to have the 7-seeded Blazers beating the 8-seeded Mavericks in the first play-in game. And then the 9-seeded Spurs against the 10-seeded Rockets. I'm going to have the Rockets winning that one. And then when the Mavericks versus the Rockets, I'm going to have the Mavericks winning that. So that would place the Trailblazers at the 7th seed and the Mavericks at the 8th seed. So now let's go on to our first round of the playoffs. And for the East, we are going to have the 76ers versus the Charlotte Hornets. And I think this should be a pretty easy series for the 76ers. I'm expecting I'm going to say 4-1. I think the Hornets can take one game from them. But I'm gonna say 76ers in 5. And then when we have the 4-seeded Boston Celtics against the 5th-seeded Indiana Pacers, I'm going to say the Celtics are going to win this one in 6. I think they're going to win 4-2. And then we have the 3-seeded Nets against the 6-seeded Raptors. And I am going to have the Nets winning this in 5. For the last game of the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat, I'm going to have the Milwaukee Bucks winning in 6. So now for the first round in the Western Conference, the 1-seeded Lakers versus the 8-seeded Mavericks, I'm going to have the Lakers winning in 5. So now the 4-seeded Nuggets against the 5th-seeded Suns. I'm actually going to take a gamble on this, and I'm going to say the Suns are going to win in 7. So now for the 3-seeded Jazz versus the 6-seeded Warriors, I'm going to have the Warriors coming out of this one in 7. I think the Warriors are a better team even though they're a lower seed. Now the Clippers versus the Trailblazers, I think the Clippers are going to come out of this one pretty easily, winning 4-1 in a 5-game series. So now we can move on to our second round, and we're going to have the 76ers versus the Celtics, and I actually think the Celtics are going to win this in 7 and make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. For the Nets versus the Bucks, I also think this is going to go 7-game series, but I'm going to take the Nets on this one not because they have more depth, because neither team have any depth, but I just feel like their offense is going to beat the Bucks' defense. So now in the Western Conference, the Lakers versus the Suns. I think the Lakers are probably going to win in 5. I don't think the Suns are a good enough team to make it out of the first round. Now the Warriors against the Clippers. I'm going to say the Clippers are going to win in 6. I think it'll be 4-2. So now to the conference finals, the Celtics versus the Nets. I think the Nets are going to win 4-2 here, take the series in 6 games. And for the Western Conference, I'm going to have the Lakers coming out of it. I'm going to say this is going to go 7 games, though. The LA rivalry, I'm going to say the Lakers are going to come out in 7 games and go back to the finals. In the finals, the Nets versus the Lakers, I think this is going to be a 4-2 series to the Lakers. I think they're going to win the finals in 6 games, and I think Anthony Davis is going to win the MVP this year. Alright, let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with anything. And I know this is pretty bold predictions, but this is just what I'm guessing, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, see you guys. Peace out.